You're listening to GTFO. I'm Phia,
And I'm Louie.
and together we are addressing any and all topics. Nothing's off limits with a GTFO attitude.
Damn straight.
So, little bit of introductions. Louie and I actually are former colleagues of a company based in Albuquerque, where I'm assigned in the southern part of the state in New Mexico, and he's central in Albuquerque. And we were colleagues, but neither of us work for that company anymore. So when we touched base with one another, there's always been some sort of attraction with Louie and I, and couldn't quite place what it is, but we've decided over Cheesecake Factory that we're supposed to do a podcast together. So here we are.
Yeah, to me that just makes more sense. I mean, really.
Yeah, it's our destiny. We're fulfilling destiny today. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
So I don't even really know Louis very well. And so that's what makes this even more interesting. And I just think our chemistry is based on nothingness. And so all together, we are all going to understand our approach to GTFO attitude by in live time. So Louis, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah,
Where are you
absolutely.
from? Where did you come from? Who are you?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So my family is actually from all over the country. My dad's family is mostly from the New York area. My mom's family is from Texas and Florida and Georgia. And somehow I landed up. Let's change that shit. Sorry. Somehow I ended up in New Mexico, born and raised all over New Mexico. Um, just moving all over the state, learning about the different cultures, and raised actually what I would call a local military brat kind of situation. Uh,
Oh.
yeah, so just really a very conservative household. Had a stay-at-home mom that took care of us all the time, and I graduated from high school down in the southern part of the state where you're located, and it was a really interesting area to live in, and really I really enjoyed actually every part of the state. Um, but I didn't see the worst parts of it either. I was very
Yeah.
yeah, I was very much a kid for most of it, and then when I moved to Albuquerque for college, I ended up just staying here for a long time. Got married, was married for 11 years, had have a couple pretty great little kids. So do the shared custody, uh, full time dad when I have them, deal. So half time with them, and a half time a single bachelor. So I get a interesting mix of worlds nowadays. Um, yeah, I work in we could talk about the industry. Don't want to give any specifics, but talk. I work in healthcare, just like you did. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, so that's really the basics of who I am. I'm 36 years old, and um, so I'm right at the beginning of that millennial grouping of people. So
Yeah, it's
it's
all your fault.
yeah, it really bothers me actually when people talk about millennials like they're all a bunch of morons and oh my
Right.
gosh, like every time someone puts one of those posts on Facebook that says, "Oh, all we have to do is drive stick shifts and whatever, and we'll cripple an entire generation." And I think there's some millennials that are pretty stupid, but there's also a lot of baby boomers that were stupid and a lot of Gen
Yep.
Xers that were stupid. So it really just depends on who you're talking to. I really don't like being clumped in um, with a bunch of hipsters. But anyway,
It's like an endless blame game.
yeah, absolutely. Like somebody is always messed up, and uh,
Yeah.
yeah, like I think the funniest thing I ever saw about the greatest generation, right? The,
Yeah.
the like my grandparents, they sure called themselves that, was the tagline that I saw. And then essentially that they're also the last generation to think that people of color needed to use a different water fountain. And it's
Exactly.
like, yeah, that's a really interesting point. you know but I think the funny thing about generations is when you look at that, right, and you say, oh well, they're the last generation to say people of color needed to use a different water fountain. You're also talking about the people of color that are in that generation, so they
Right.
didn't think that, right? So so it's kind of like lumping everyone by their worst traits, and that's what I
Yeah.
don't like about all the millennial trash talk that goes around nowadays. But anyway.
Yeah. If they're so great, we know statistically Social Security is running out. Right, jokes on them. So that'll be interesting to be a part of, especially in healthcare like we are.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now
Well, I
all
can
these
tell
baby boomers.
why. What's that?
Oh, and all these baby boomers now also becoming Medicare eligible, which is
Yeah.
going to be more people on Medicare in the next 10 years than in the workforce. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to
Anyway,
be so great. We get a
yeah.
front row seat to that.
Yep.
Well, I can tell why we're just sort of the same screwed up, Louie. I
Yep.
mean, what you said is pretty much my life, except I'm a girl and I was born in Ogden, Utah, near the military base, the Air Force Base, but grew up everywhere else. So South
Yeah.
Carolina was where my elementary years were, in Whitesville Elementary, no less, um, in the 80s.
That is
Yeah,
hysterical.
and I seriously have always hoped to look back into that because I bet you it's not called that anymore.
I hope not. I hope not. Wow.
This little town outside of Charleston called Monk's Corner, and I went to Whitesville Elementary from 0 to 4th grade, and then I survived Hurricane Hugo. That was interesting. And we moved to Florida. My dad became a scab for Eastern Airlines. He fixed planes for a living. So middle school was Miami. So to go from the backwoods of South Carolina, feeling like I grew up around dirt roads and no modernization, I was transported for middle school into Miami, like Dade County.
Yeah.
So my parents' marriage fell apart about then, and there was 5 of us. So we
What?
were
Why?
devout Mormons.
Why did it fall apart in Miami? Did
Well, my
did
dad
someone?
is a porn addict, which people don't think is a thing, I think, but it is, no matter what your religion is. And in Miami, I guess there's a lot of temptation and dysfunction. So my mom could not get my dad to get right with the Lord. So she left him. That's what you do in Mormonism. If you don't have a worthy priesthood holder at the helm, it's very patriarchal. You go to the bishop and cry, and then the church helps you and your 5 kids relocate to Fort Worth, Texas to be near a sister. So that's what happened to us. I was about 10 when we moved to Fort Worth. I finished middle school there, high school, and beyond. So I feel very well balanced, been all over the country, um, and worked in healthcare primarily from 18 to 38 now, so 20 years. I have 2 kids. I was married 14 years. And just like you, have joint custody where it's on and off, which is kind of a new trendy thing, to be honest. It's sort of like how they do it in the Netherlands. The court systems in the US aren't really made for that. So for
Right.
us, it was interesting to bend and yield to how things were. But
Yeah.
frankly, I have kids every other week and nobody pays anybody money. And we get, our kids get the best of us every other week. And then every other week, um, I get to just be me. And I've been single, I've been married again, I've been divorced again. And right now, I'm currently in a relationship, living in sin with my boyfriend I've been with him over a year. So that's
Scandalous.
where I'm at. And uh, GTFO, get the fuck out.
I
I
know,
wanted to
right?
blindside you with a topic.
All right. Blindside
My,
time.
my blindside bitch of the day is the
Just
whole
a note.
NFL taking the knee thing.
We
I
need we need blindside music. Just a side note before you dive into your rant.
Heck yeah, we do. Should we do
Like,
ballpark? Heck yeah. I'm gonna blindside you. We're gonna start this. This is gonna be hopefully something we do quite a bit. Blindside. Um, my blindside bitch fest topic. I'm gonna blindside bitch about the NFL taking a knee topic.
yeah,
I know it's a tired topic, and I know that nobody wants to talk about it,
it
but I'm
won't
tired
die
of it.
though. Yeah, won't
It
die.
won't die. So we might as well just give it a big old GTFO stamp. So I alluded to the fact that I grew up Mormon, LDS, not the one that's fundamentalist with multiple moms, not like that, but mainstream. Salt Lake City is like Rome to Catholics to our religion. And I'm ex-Mormon now, but when we would have family prayer, like you legit are on your knees. Muslims do that too. You're on your fucking knees. You are devoutly showing profound respect to kings, magistrates on your knees, okay? And yet somehow, because NFL players choose to use that nonviolent protest of awareness of police brutality during the anthem, it's suddenly like off with their heads. It makes no sense to me. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Is
What
it,
do you think about it?
I look at it as if I did that. Okay, so this is their job. This is what they get paid to do, and they get paid a lot of money to go out there and essentially entertain and play this game. Um, they're obviously elite athletes when they reach that level. I think about it, if I did it in my job, I'd probably be written up. Like there's certain things you don't talk about like at work, right? Which is the old adage of you don't talk about politics and religion in the workspace. And I hear what you're saying. I hear the piece about it is a non-violent protest, taking a knee. Um, my only thing is that they're also pretty wealthy. They can easily organize a protest that's not before the games that they do, not like not when they're at work. They could very easily get the attention of the media because they're also pseudo celebrities, and they could do it in a way that they're saying, look, you know that look, we want justice for our brethren, and we want justice for ourselves, that that this is taking place. Did you hear about the recent protests in Miami? Actually, it's funny. Miami, you're
No,
from
tell
Miami,
me.
partially. So that the Dolphins game, a couple players, I don't know how many players, they took a
Preseason,
knee
this
as
season.
well. Yeah, exactly. I think it's I am not a football guy. I just don't care, to be
Right.
honest. But
Me
yeah, so
either.
they yeah. So they're taking a knee, at this at the football game, during the anthem, just like they were last year. And so the Miami Police Department, or whatever it is, not, where are the Dolphins? Are they in Miami? Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they're in
Miami
Miami.
Dolphins.
Matter of
Gee,
fact.
now I sound stupid.
No, you don't. Well,
But
we're
yeah, so
publicly educated. It was the baby boomer's fault.
I've been to Miami once. Some beautiful beaches down there. But but essentially the police were like, whatever. We support the Dolphins, and we support the rights of everyone, and and so the Miami Police Department, they're boycotting the Dolphins
Yeah.
because and I feel like that's part of it too, because just like I was talking about the generational thing, you know when a group starts protesting against like a big general topic, they don't really think about, you know okay, so Miami Police Department's providing security for this
Right.
event, and we're taking a knee in protest of them because because of police brutality against people of color. They don't think about that fact that, oh, I'm gonna hurt one of their feelings, or that, or I'm gonna think do that. Like it's and I would guess in the Miami area, a lot of the police down there are probably not even white, not to
That's
not to say
true.
that's what it's against, but
Right.
I would guess that a majority of the people down there, I mean, it's a very ethnic part of the country, and it's very beautiful, and uh
Yeah.
and I have to say, as far as places I've visited, it's one of the most welcoming places in the country. So, I mean, to be honest, I agree with you on a level that it's definitely, it's their right to do it, but it's also the right of the employer to say, well, you're not going to work here anymore, or um, you're not going to play, or whatever, however they do it. But but I also think that uh, they're going to have to pay for those repercussions, because again, they're doing it at work. It's the same thing if I went into work, and I if I went in, and my boss called a meeting, and I went and I sat on the floor and I said, I'm protesting this because my people are being are being discriminated against, and absolutely, I think it's important to express yourself. I question the forum.
I think the man who started it, which I'll never ever attempt to say his name because I'll butcher it, but
Colin, I can say it. Colin Kaepernick.
thank you.
Yeah,
Say that 3 times.
yeah,
So I think his heart was in the right place. You got to think about their position, albeit their job is to just amuse and entertain us like the gladiators of Rome. But
right.
and again, full disclosure, just like you, I'm not big into the NFL. I don't really have a horse in this. I don't bleed orange, or I'm
Right.
a fraud. I have a Denver Broncos shirt, and I've been taking a liking to the Bears because I'm dating a Bears fan. But beyond that, and liking the Dolphins because I live there, I don't have,
Right.
a place to say anything. But what I'm tired of is being as neutral as I am and watching people get all outraged who've never served in the military, and saying that it's disrespectful. I take issue with it being disrespectful. Maybe it's disrespectful to play the anthem in front of games. When did that shit start? I looked it up. It started for baseball games in the 40s. So that everything we do, it's not gospel, right? It's fluid. Like that didn't always happen. We just think it has because it's happened for generations. Oh no, we're supposed to play the anthem in front of the game. Well, why? Anyhow, for all the reasons
Right.
we think and reflect on what the national anthem, moves in individuals across the country, there are a lot of veterans who are taking knees who aren't happy either, who happen to be alive still, you know, and I think the reason, you know, he did it in the first place is it's just a lot of eyes, right? Like, hey, what's he doing? I don't think it was meant to be disrespectful. And so now the message is lost, right? Like now it's arguments about, well, if I did that at my job, these
Right.
are these are people of color who no other way is getting out. But now the scandal is taken on a whole new life of its own, which is where I come in with, get the fuck out. It's not disrespectful to me. I
Right.
just don't think it is.
Right.
It's a stupid song before a game, and it's not changing the game, it's not delaying it. It's like, what would they normally be doing standing? Maybe everyone should be taking a knee anyway because it's more respectful.
That's an
So,
interesting angle. I
yeah.
think my only other thought on it is, I also, again, I'm not a fan of the sport in general. So, but from people that I do know that watch, Colin Kaepernick was not really a star in it, and so there's theories that he started it because he wanted to make himself a little more of a household name. Um,
Ah,
so if that's really the case, and that is probably that statement will cause outrage as it is, but like, but you know, for his fans, um, but essentially, I've heard that a couple times that he did that really to get his name back in the forefront and get his name back up there. I mean, and when you think about it, like after he did that, like Beyonce is giving him an award, and just he became this hero overnight. So I don't know. It to me, it comes down to again, is that really the best place to get the attention? I
Yeah.
feel like the NFL, even though they've lost, some viewers and they've lost some fans because of it, like overall they're going to be just fine. Um, I think that he could have organized something like better. I don't know, even like a march on Washington, or
Yeah.
or they all go to the White House, and talk to the president. I think that that's one of the problems right now is there's like this fear to have discussion, and
Right.
instead like there's like this angry,
Yeah.
and you're right, this is a very it's a peaceful protest, but there's still like a hostility behind it when you do it behind something like the national anthem, because there are so many people that that are hardcore patriots, and I'm not talking about fans of the football team, right? They're hardcore
Right.
patriots that they're like, that's our national anthem. That's been, it's been how many years that we have become, this free country, and we became free under, pretty extreme duress, when it comes down to it. We fought for freedom from, you know, from tyranny, or, however you want to say it. And it was a big it's a big insult to a lot of those people, and then they don't want to have a conversation. And so
Yeah.
there, to me, I feel like it's just a better way. There's got to be a better way to do it. So
Those diehard fans are burning stuff. Like we're talking about people not like you and I, like swag,
right,
cars.
right,
They are burning stuff over like we're going to protest. I mean,
yeah,
it's harming to the brand, the NFL. NFL? Yeah,
yeah,
NFL.
NFL, yep.
I'm all, did I say hockey?
That'd be NHL. You're
So
fine.
I just want to give it a big get the fuck out. And that's what I like about, like, I had no idea your position, right? That's part of why
Right.
we started the podcast. We don't really know each other, but
Yeah,
there's chemistry and there's differences and there's similarities, and we got to just get our voices out. We are fulfilling a purpose and destiny today. And so that was my
absolutely.
GTFO, not knowing where you are on the topic, but hopefully you've got a blindside bitch fest for me about something.
Hell yes, I have a blindside bitch fest for you.
Bring it.
My blind.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Oh, it's coming. My blindside bitch is essentially about men's health. It's really stemming from I had a vasectomy in 2014. I want to say 2013. Um, and so leading up to that, like so I was still married at the time, had my two kids. I was happy. I was like, I'm good. I've got my set. We had a boy and a girl. We're like, we're not gonna have any more. Even though originally we wanted to have four kids, but it's so freaking expensive to raise children nowadays. Like in a way where you want to give them things that you didn't have, growing up. And anyway, but that's
Yeah,
another blindside bitch, I think. But
exactly.
yeah, but essentially um, the vasectomy, is pretty much marketed as, oh, there's no side effects to it. It's just a, a normal procedure that happens, and then you're not going to get anyone pregnant again. You're going to be good to go. But you don't really have side effects from it.
Yeah,
And yeah, and I can even remember when I was a kid on Home Improvement. Remember with Tim Allen? But
yeah.
back in the 90s, yeah, like there was an episode where he had a vasectomy, because it was just the the best way to for them to have birth control, that et cetera, et cetera. And I remember it was presented in a humorous way, but again, like not a discussion of any of the side effects that happen because of it or anything like that. And and there was even a website that someone had steered me towards, and I was like, this website looks so sketchy that there's no way it's real. There's no freaking way. I was like, this is bullshit. It's like who would believe this website? Well, even before I did it done or had it done, did it done. That's great English. Uh, anyway, before I had it done, my dad had had one years and years before that, and I told him I'm going to have it done, and even he was like, dude, you shouldn't do it. It's a weird procedure. Like, what if you want to have more kids down the road? Blah blah blah. But I was kind of blowing it off because he had divorced my mom and then got remarried, right? And then he wanted to have more kids, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna fucking do that. That sounds ridiculous. Like, I don't want to have more kids when I'm 50 years old. That sounds so dumb. Um, but anyway, so I had it done, and like right away, like things were fine. I was like, it feels a little different down there, in like there's kind of you can kind of feel where the vas deferens are disconnected or whatever. Anyway, but that's kind of a deep in there kind of feeling, like. But anyway, um,
Yeah.
yeah. So probably like right after, though, I would say like a year after, I noticed there's um I get like a pulling sensation like down there, and it hurts like bad because there's nothing you can do to like stop it. And essentially it kills me because it's like, why the hell am I getting this sensation? I've never had this sensation before.
It
It's
doesn't
like,
hurt, right, Louie?
no, it's so uncomfortable. Like it's on the verge of pain, I'd say. Like it it makes you like, I, I don't know. I don't want to say it doesn't hurt because it's definitely it's definitely at a point where where I would take like painkillers and try to like I couldn't like function while the pain would happen, right? Um and and then a second piece that I even talked to the doctor about this. Um, if I went more than 3 days without having an orgasm, my next orgasm would be the most painful thing I've ever had. Like
Huh.
it was like I didn't even feel the orgasm. It was just pain. It was just like this like burning, horrible, like clogged tube situation, like trying to push through my body. And I have to say, like, so I talked to the doctor about it. He's like, oh, well, that just happens to any guys if they're backed up. And I'm like, that's really interesting because I never got that before the vasectomy.
Right.
Like I don't really believe that shit, and I
Yeah.
can't believe that you're trying to sell it to me. That's like the blue balls, thing. Oh yeah, you gotta take care of that,
That's
and I'm like,
normal.
yeah, that's normal for you to do
No,
that.
you're having it during an orgasm,
I'm
the
sorry, was that a question?
discomfort.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
I said that's, and you're having it during the orgasm, not just blue balls backed up. Like
Yeah,
he's
no,
suggesting these are two different
yeah,
issues. Like
yeah,
when
exactly.
I'm coming, it hurts. That's not the same as,
Yeah,
well, I gotta release. I need to release. Like, huh?
yeah. No, no, exactly. Totally different. Yeah. It was like, I mean, it hurt so bad. Like I was like afraid to have my next orgasm. I'm like, is this ever gonna
Right.
feel good again? And
Yeah.
and uh, and it's I feel like it stems to like a larger issue with men's health. Like I feel like there's just like this. let's not really study shit for men. Let's not really talk about issues for men. Let's just, you got this thing going on, and you're okay though. You can just, just come every day and you won't have that problem, right? And it's like sometimes I don't want to. What if I'm not in the mood, right? You have to like
Yeah.
get yourself in the mood, make it happen, and and so yeah, so like, and I think about that because I was actually in a meeting and I was talking about men's health, and I was in there with a bunch of doctors. One of the doctors said, that women, they have a lot of screenings to help women. They've got mammograms and they've got, paps. They can do, the breast exams that, like, uh, and there's different ways, that they can um, check things out on women, and the uterus, and they can, take really good look there. But with like men, this doctor is saying, oh well, there's um, there's not really screenings to take care of men's like prostate that much. It's like even the screenings that they do for prostate health are not always accurate. They're not always um, they're the results are pretty crappy, is what he was saying, and and so I'm like sitting there and I'm thinking, wow, but it's so short sighted. Like what about even mental health? Like, when I graduated high school and I was going in for my last sports physical, and the doctor, finished, cupping my balls and making me cough, and so I'm like asking him after that though, I'm like, hey, what what's next for my health, because I'm going to college, I'm not going to be in sports. Like I was like, I'm not going to be doing that anymore. Do you have like some guidance for me essentially? And he's like, oh well, you just need to come in when you're sick. For a man, you don't need to come in until you're 40 on a
Wow.
regular basis. And I was thinking about that, and I'm like, man, that's such a shitty message. You're talking, I'm 18 years old.
Yeah.
We're talking 22 years. Am I doing that math right? Yeah, 22
Yeah.
years. All the 20s, all the 30s, plus those two. 22 years. I'm like, oh, I just need to come in if I got strep throat or,
Something's wrong.
a rash or, whatever. Uh,
Mm.
and so I think about that and I'm like, what a horrible, what a horrible message to send to young men that you're fine unless you're sick. Like, and how do you even know if you're sick in a lot of cases? We live in such a macho society, especially New Mexico. It's like, suck it up, you're a
Yeah,
man.
illness is weakness.
Yeah, do your shit and get over it. We live in this society where it's not only that, but corporate America tells us you can't get sick. You need to be at work every day.
That's
And
right.
if you're sick, yeah, and if you're sick, that's an occurrence. You're going to get in trouble if you get too many of those. So don't get sick too much, and it's like, but what about the preventive piece? It's hard to even get a day off to go do that if you work, a normal 9 to 5 job. And
Yeah, it is. You have to use your
yeah, and
PTO for it.
yeah, exactly. And you can't even get to the doctor regularly. And to me, so it's so sad that I'm sitting in this room with this doctor that's saying, we don't really have screenings for men's health. How about just screenings for me as a person?
Yeah.
Like what
Checkpoints,
about behavioral
parameters.
health? Yeah, what about talking about weight gain and weight loss, and
Yeah.
you know and the I mean and again, it'll be another topic for another blindside issue, but the just the images of men in the media are, I would totally argue, are just as bad as the images for women in the media, like as far as what the expectations are for what you need to look like, and it's like we don't have any of that for we don't have any of that as a topic for men. It always falls to the back, and
Yeah.
mental health, and and these ideals for men are always on the back burner. But anyway,
Yeah,
what do you have to say about
well,
this?
I can already hear like feminist friends saying, "Well, men don't have to do that, like victim, like we don't want all these screenings. We have to or we'll die, we're going to get cervical
Right.
cancer and men don't have to do that, we don't ask for these things, but I'm with you. There's definitely a disproportionate and I, like you, with my ex-husband, wanted to have 4 kids. I mean, it was part of the getting to know you, let's get married. Like, let's have 2 boys and 2 girls,
Yep.
idealistic. And as soon as we had the first one, we were lucky, it was a boy. So if this were, medieval times, I would have been a winner, right? As a woman.
Right. Yep.
And
Yep.
so he was hard. Like, he was perfect and healthy, but nobody talks about it. It's all romanticized on commercials and in the families, especially in a LDS culture, Mormon culture. The more kids the better you are, right? Like, and even
Right.
in Catholicism, like most patriarchal, the bigger the better. But me and my ex were very confounded at what the heck, this is hard. And we had uh, a daughter, the second, and we were living in St. Louis, Missouri. He was in grad school, and we were all on Medicaid. I had one welfare baby and one we paid for, the first one, ironically. The first child, when you're usually more broke, right? When you're
Right. Right.
early 20s, it was our second that we had in Missouri, and it was so funny. Their Medicaid covered a vasectomy, but you had to find a urologist to do it, and some clinics are mostly just vasectomy, but they wouldn't cover that. So I called like 25 people. I almost gave up, but I called one more, and they did it. So my ex-husband's vasectomy was covered on Medicaid. We went in there, age 26 and 29, boy and a girl, and the doctor was like, "Yeah, I'm totally about this." We did not know
Yeah.
we were supposed to talk to our religious authorities on the matter. It didn't occur to us, but in retrospect we found out you're supposed to take that issue to the bishop, but we didn't. So we kind of felt bad quietly about that, but I was very proud of my husband's vasectomy, and I did all the research like, wow, you can still, have sex, you can still, it doesn't affect you, whereas I'd have to always take birth control or whatever. So I think I've done enough here, so it's your turn. And
Yeah.
it never occurred to me that it could or have had any problems. That was in 2006, and so now we're at 12 years later, and to my knowledge, he hasn't had any discomfort, but it could be all kinds of factors. And you're right. Who would even know? I mean, he hasn't ever talked about it and he doesn't get checked. And then to further drive your point, my son is now in ninth grade and he's going to do baseball. And I took him for his physical and I was preparing him for the whole, coughing
Yeah.
thing that they don't do it
Yep.
anymore, Louis.
Really?
Absolutely. Why? So now your point's even further more, flagged, because not only is there not more screenings or the same old true blue ones that we make fun of guys for, oh, the coughing, that didn't even
Right.
happen. So
Well, how old
that's
is he
not
again?
progress. 14.
Yeah. 14. Well, yeah, he should have gotten it done at 14. I know
I
I
know.
did when I was like 13, I think, the first
So
time.
I don't know if you have a son and if he's going to do sports, but I think you'll see too that, to further add to your disappointment, I think they've done away with that old method.
Yeah, because that's a hernia test. It's not
Yeah.
even like it's not like it's like, oh, I'm just fondling these little things
I'm
down
sure
here. No,
someone
it's
came out with some study, and as things do, and oh, we don't need to do with that anymore. Like, oh, okay.
yeah, yeah.
So who
But
knows?
but at the same time, like, how is a boy to know if his junk is messed up? Unless there's like pain or
No,
discomfort of some kind.
that's
Hmm.
their one shot, a physical. They
Yeah,
don't do it anymore.
right, right.
I
That's
have
weird.
a leery feeling that like a lot of docs, and I just don't think people know. I don't think they know anything. Like, they went to a lot of school and they're practicing, but for one study and research and becoming an expert in one area, you're also missing the new study that came out, and it just gets
Yep.
outdated the way that information and discovery moves, that I'm starting to worry that it's just all a bunch of noise.
Yeah,
It's frightening.
I think that's pretty true.
I mean, we're not getting quality health care today as it is. And, my son talked to me this morning, did you know Canada may have universal, but they'd take forever to get in anywhere. I said, buddy, it takes forever to get in anywhere here. So
Yeah, exactly.
we're paying
Yeah.
for it and
Yeah,
we're
what's the
getting a
difference?
waiting list.
Yeah. That's a
We
really good
are.
point.
We're
Yeah,
sick of
no, it's
it.
absolutely true.
We need to tell the truth. But yeah, you're right. It's another episode for sure.
Yeah. I think yeah, and just real quickly on that exact topic, like my dad actually just moved to the Austin area in Texas, and before he left here, he had some tests done because he was having a lot of hip pain, and they diagnosed him with osteoarthritis, which essentially you can manage through different types of shots and medications.
Yeah.
Um, he's in Austin. I'm talking about it's less than a month, the time frame between those tests and the time he moved to Austin. He gets in with an osteoarthritis specialist in the Austin area, and image findings, looking at the same stuff. Doctor says, you actually don't have any cartilage left on your hip, so you need a full hip replacement.
Such a scam.
Yeah, so I'm really worried about growing old here too, because to me,
Right.
like the group here wanted to essentially prolong my dad's pain and give him a bunch of shots for
Right. Very
probably years,
yeah.
and then someone would say, oh, and now you need a hip replacement. Whereas over there they're like, let's just do this, let's get this done. And so he's going to have his hip replaced in the next week or so, and he just moved there, so
Well,
it's
also,
pretty
you might want
fresh.
to consider also, you know, that's a whole big scam too. I mean, those are well-oiled, those are easy money for them. Like, you know what? We can justify replacing your hip. We're going to do it. I mean, there's
Yeah,
a argument to be made that maybe the Albuquerque doc group was more conservative and like on his side as an advocate rather than, oh,
yeah,
they're in bed with the hip manufacturers and stuff, and just make
yeah,
sure he doesn't get anything made of metal.
yeah. I don't know, because I when I was so it was during this whole time, like I said, he was moving, so I was helping him move a bunch of stuff, and the shot that the Albuquerque doctor gave him had no effect at all. He was in so much pain trying to move stuff, move furniture, and I'm like, I wish I could have, taken that away somehow. But I mean, to be honest, and this doctor actually, like I've researched him since then, and he's just not a very, what's the word? He doesn't have very good patient experience scores. For
Yeah.
to use some industry lingo, so it's um,
Well, I just know that
yeah,
there's a doctor from Alaska who had a joint replaced. I can't remember which one. And there's a Netflix documentary that he funded and helped make called The Bleeding Edge. And
yeah,
it just explores the medical device horrors because most of these things that we're getting pushed into aren't good for us and cause other problems. And so he might want to look
yeah,
into that before he just says, oh boy, I got to go get this done. Because
yeah,
if he doesn't get the right thing and ask the right questions, he's just another patient that's got another procedure and then finds out later, just like you did with your vasectomy, hey, I didn't
yep, that's
know
true.
to ask about this. And now it's too late. He's got this foreign object that he didn't really know about and
Right.
trusted the doctor. But also, tit for tat in Albuquerque, his whole gig could be the shots. Like, I just really, this works for me in my practice. So it's just horrifying, like all of it.
Y- Yep.
But I
Yeah, you're
recommend
absolutely
that
right.
The Bleeding Edge. If you have Netflix, you should watch it. Just to be an advocate son for your dad and have something to think about. Not to be scared
Yeah,
into any corners, but just awareness overall.
right. Makes sense. I'll check it out.
So until next time,
Yeah, eh?
I think we should do this more often. What do you think?
I agree.
It's a lot of fun. Let's keep at it.
Do it.